Alright, VW T5 Chinese diesel heater installation. So got the box here, the heater here. What I'm going to do is just take this out. I've seen a few people have put them under the seat, and I'm just going to position it loosely before taking the seat out and all that sort of thing. I'm just going to see if it will slide in. No, it won't. So I'll take a template of the actual heater, of the footprint of the bottom of it, and then I'll take the seat out and we'll start from there. When you're taking the front seat out on a T5, it's actually attached to the handbrake, so you want to make sure that the van's on flat ground and chock the wheels, all four of them. Undo the four nuts holding on the seat, and also remove these two screws so that you can lift the junction box out. You also want to take the warning lead off the handbrake as well. Okay, with the seat fully forward and tipped forward as well, you can actually get this thing through this gap. I'm still going to take the seat out, but just seeing where it's going to sit in relation to everything, I think maybe on a bit of an angle could be the best. I'll draw around that with a bit of chalk and then I'll get started. So I've removed the handbrake sensor, the fuse box is taken out, well, the junction box is taken out of the holder there. I'm going to take the handbrake off from these ones here, just so that it doesn't affect the adjustment. It should, I think, just come off from there and fly around in the wind. Yeah, that'll come off. Okay, now the seat's out, I've put all the nuts and bolts in a tin. It's worth checking while this is all out. This wire here, you might need to open up the insulation or whatever it is, the protection on it. This is a wire that goes wrong a lot. It's one wire that just goes into two. It's usually all green and corroded, but that if your central locking doesn't work, that's probably what it is. So just make sure they're all together and they're clean. I'm going to do that in a minute. I've made another video about that and it fixed the problem. So it's probably better if you can to solder it back together. I might do that while the seat's out actually, because I didn't take the seat out to do that. Yeah, then on to the next step. Next up, this panel's got to come off. Okay, so it's pretty busy under here. You've got the main chassis rail, and then an inner sill. So it's going to have to, the exhaust is going to have to port through that bit there. On the top, you've got an earthing strap which is attached to that, so you can reference it a little bit. I'll have a look. So this is where I originally thought, but there's a chassis rail here and a rail there, so I think it's going to be better kind of here, as long as it doesn't interfere with the wiring, which is all good. There's a inspection plug there that you can pull out to have a look around as well. Yeah, I think it's going to fit in there quite well. I'm not sure what this little earthing strap thing here is. If it gets in the way, I think I'll cut it off. I can't see that it's really attached to anything underneath. I think it's just another place where you can earth, which you can do with the whole chassis, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, let's proceed. Okay, we now have a hole-in floor, and this mounting plate is all on here, with the fuel hose, the air hose and the exhaust. So I'm just going to try this in the hole. Okay, it's in position. I think at this point I should just try and see if the seat still goes back in. Right, let's do that. Yep, that's absolutely fine. Sits in there really nicely. Cool, next step. Okay, so going to look at fitting the auxiliary kind of tank. Probably going to run it on kerosene because that looks like it's going to be the cleanest burning stuff. but I was going to put the fuel pipe straight into the top of the sender, but it looks like a bit of a nightmare to drop the tank on a T5. So luckily, a bit by design and a bit by luck, when my bed comes over this area, I've got a full width bed. I've got a little compartment here which really doesn't do much, but I think I can fit a nice little 5 litre tank in there. I'll just check and see what's underneath it to make sure it's okay to drill through the floor, and if it is, I think that's where it's going to go. Okay, so the tank is drilled and the little sender thing, I had to poke it down in there with a kebab stick. That's down in there, and then drilled the hole in there, and hopefully that will all go in okay. Okay, so that's the tank in, it's drilled through the floor. I'm going to put a piano hinge along here and then just have a little inspection hatch so you can fill up the tank, and that should be good, all hidden away. Volkswagen T5, just taken off this plastic sill protector underneath the sliding door. I'm horrified to find that it's absolutely full of wet mud, and what that is doing is it is right against the sill under there. Luckily the sill hasn't gone too far. I'm just going to clean it and well, put some hammerite on it or something, but yeah, all this wet mud is sitting right against that seam, which ain't good. Okay, the control unit is mounted on the side of the cupboard, and what I've also done is cut a cross in that so I can poke the connector through, so I can poke it down through the floor under there and get power to the pump. Alright, so I had to prime the system a couple of times, which you do by pressing the two bottom buttons, and then it says H off, and then you hit the upwards button there and it goes H on, and the fuel pump pulses for a while. I did that 3 or 4 times. This time when I've pressed the on button, it's actually fired up. I've got smoke coming out the exhaust, and these 3 blips here, I think that shows that it's warming up. I've got hot air coming out of here, which is lovely, and tiny bit of exhaust through there, not too bad. It's been running for a few minutes now, and the exhaust gas looks pretty damn clean really, and in the cab it's freaking toasty. Excellent, very happy. Noise wise, I can barely hear it. I'll be closing in this area a little bit anyway. Yeah, it's kicking out loads of heat, really good. Next step, tidy the van. Bit long overdue, but finally just kind of boxed in with the vent.